Hey, welcome to the Graphically Hip channel, and I've had a few requests from people to show them how to use a cold laminator to laminate a print and then put it back in their BN20 for cutting. So I'm going to show you that today. So I have my print here, and as you can see, I didn't pay close enough attention and my print smudged, and that covered my registration mark. See how that one didn't have one either? Also, when I cut off the print, I cut it off too short. I should have left more tail. So I have actually done both of these. Well, this wasn't on purpose, but the cut was on purpose because I want to show you guys a couple of cool hacks. So I've got some matte lam here that I just want to put on over top of my print. And all you really need is enough to cover the print exactly, and then a little bit of extra, like 3-4 inches at the most. So I have my matte lam sitting over top my print. Then of that little bit extra, I'm gonna put that in my laminator first, and this is my bad. You should never store your laminator with the roller down. You wanna always store it with the top roller up. And for whatever reason, I must have been in a hurry last time I closed it and forgot to do that step. So there's something you should know about laminators. So I'm now pulling my print out to the other side of the laminator, just enough that I can have like 2 or 3 inches to pull. I'm gonna turn this a little bit so you can see it better. Just 2 or 3 inches of lam on this side. I'm gonna tighten my rollers, and I got this laminator in the clearance section on the Stahl's website. Actually, this is a dry tack cold laminator, and it was a used piece of equipment, so I ended up getting it for about $300 Canadian plus shipping, which is a steal for these laminators, but you can also find them on Amazon and such. So now all I'm doing is I'm making sure that my lam is still where I put it and it's going to cover my print. And then I'm just pulling the backing paper off of it while holding the actual lam up here. So that's why I said you need about 2 to 3 inches, just so you have something to hang on to up here. And it doesn't even have to go up there. I just like to bring it up on the ledge here so I have somewhere to put it down. And then you can either use a knife or scissors. Scissors do, for the most part, make a cleaner cut. So I'm just right now cutting off about 1 inch of that backing paper. Okay, and throw that out. And then this is just a personal preference of mine that I've learned over the 11 years of doing this. I take my 2 fingers like this, and I just run it along the edge of what I just cut off. And then I also, with my hand, just wipe off the vinyl underneath. And I do both of those things because when you cut the backing paper, you'll get a bunch of little fuzzies that, like paper fibers, that fall off and fly around everywhere, and we don't really want that, especially if you're cutting right over top of a print, because then you'll have all those little bumps and paper fibers on your print. In this case, it's not on my print, but it's still just a habit for me to do that. So now I have a wheel over here that you can't see from that side, but I'm just turning it to roll that inch of lam down. Then I'm just gonna come to this side, lift the backing paper up and peel it off. So then all I'm left with is a whole bunch of more lam. I'll throw that out. And then I'm just going to turn my wheel and laminate the print. And because this is matte lam, sometimes it doesn't do like the nicest job, so sometimes I'll just run it over a couple times depending on how I think it looks. So there's your laminated print. Now, I told you I was going to show you how to fix these 2 issues. So I'm just going to fold this up so I can get it out of my way. I'm gonna do here is just cut off a piece of a different print that I had laying around. Which I happen to just have right beside me. And this print actually has registration marks on it, which is double cool, but not necessary, but you'll see why in a second. So I'm just gonna take some tape, just regular masking tape. I don't have any, normally I would use this thinner tape, but I don't have much left on that roll. So. And I'm just gonna line up the two ends together and then throw some tape on it. And that way I'm kind of adding on that tail of print. And you want to actually tape it on both sides, or at least that's what I do, because I find that it gets caught in the printer when you have this kind of edge that sticks up. It gets caught in the rollers and stuff, so I always just tape both sides. Now I've got my tail back. Now the really cool thing about this particular instance is I need that registration mark, and I have one right here. So I'm just going to cut that registration mark out of the vinyl, leave the backing paper on because I don't need it. So essentially I'm just cutting a square around my registration mark. Doesn't have to be anything perfection. Then I'm just going to lay it over top of the registration mark as close as I can get it to where it was before. And there's some little hacks you can use, like you can, if you really needed to, you could cut kind of as close to the edges of the circle as possible, just so you know you're fitting it in the right spot. But I've done this so many times that I don't need to worry about that anymore. But that might be a hack that you might want to try when you're doing this for the first time. So now I literally just put a new registration mark over top of the old one, and it sticks because I just cut it out of the vinyl up here. So that's how you fix those two. Now when you go to put this into your printer, this right here is the mark that counts the most. That's the only one you need to know. It's the one that has the rectangle beside it. That's the first mark that your printer is going to read. So you're putting that into your printer. Let's see if I can show you. So you're going to put it into the printer with this mark in the bottom right hand corner. So you could throw it in this way, but just because I'm used to it, I'm throwing it in the back. Okay. Now I'm just gonna come grab my phone so I can bring you over and show you. Okay. So here's what we're doing. So my black circle with the rectangle is right there in the front right corner, like I said. And then over there is my registration mark that I just did surgery on. And what you want to do is line up that print with this white cutting strip. So that's the strip that your blade lands on. So you just want to get your circles, and you can feel it. If you stick your finger on the circle and kind of push down a little bit and feel around, you can feel where that cutting strip is. The other thing you want to take note of here is the rollers. So the rollers cannot be, see this little mark right here? That prints with your registration marks. Your rollers cannot be inside of that mark. Has to be outside of it. So I couldn't put my print there because now my roller is not far enough outside that line. So I have to pull my print out this way a little bit, and it's just getting stuck on the other side here. So right around there should be fine. And again, I'm backing it up so it's lined up with that white cutting strip right there. And then you're going to come over to the other side, and then you're just going to, again, push down so you can feel where that cutting strip is and move it around and kind of line it up. And normally I would do this with both hands so that I could feel where both of them are at the same time, but also you can see, like, your cutting strip is right there, and your mark is in line with that. And then same thing over here. Cutting strip is, oh, it's gonna be hard with, cutting strip is right there, and your mark is lined up with it, hopefully. So now that you have your print back in the machine, now you can close the printer up and go ahead and hit print.